This evening, singer-songwriter Justine Dorsey joins me from Los Angeles, California. Justine, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure. Now, Justine, you're a singer-songwriter from Los Angeles, and you play guitar and write your music.
Mhm.
How long have you been involved in making music?
Well, I've been actually making music for 5 years now, but yeah, I guess it feels pretty recent. But yeah, 5 years I've been writing and playing.
Okay, and you play the guitar, right?
Mhm.
Do you play any other instruments?
I play like a tiny bit of piano, and that's it. I could do triangle pretty well, but
All right. So, you learned guitar at 13. Is that when you started playing guitar?
uh-huh.
And when you first started playing guitar, what kind of music were you listening to that inspired you to play?
I mean, the music I was listening to didn't necessarily well, I mean, it was before my mom had told me about she'd like read a thing about Taylor Swift before Taylor Swift was really big, and she just thought, you know, I'd quit piano and she thought maybe I'd like guitar instead. I wasn't even listening to Taylor at the time. So it wasn't necessarily the music I was listening to that was influencing it. It just was like, hey, here's an idea. And then, then I
Sure.
started, yeah.
Has Taylor Swift's music impacted you as an artist and as a songwriter?
Um, I mean, yeah, I guess so. Because we're sort of different, but yeah, because she's a an amazing storyteller, and for sure, I have been listening to her music for years, and just as a person, she's inspiring for a lot of teenagers. So yeah,
A lot of the greatest artists and musicians are also the best storytellers, and there's definitely something to be said for the art of telling stories.
yeah,
It's a timeless tradition. What I enjoyed a lot about your EP was that a lot of the songs are really storytelling. And I find that you have a very interesting range of stylistic tendencies, including everything from sort of that Americana bluesy country feel to the Great American Songbook, where you did a cover of Put on a Happy Face, to sort of modern pop and rock sound. And so we enjoyed that when we were listening to the EP earlier. And why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit about the EP?
yeah.
When did you record it?
I recorded it. I guess well, I started this time last year, and or we started talking about it. It's weird. It's all like a blur to me because that was when I started working I'm with an independent label now called Unison, and that's when we started working together. And um, it all feels recent because it came out in October, which wasn't that long ago. But yeah, it was last year, and we got it was I was like away for the summer, and so that was when we were kind of getting like wrapping it all up and choosing images and stuff like that. So that's a really long answer. It was
No, it's
this time
okay.
last year.
Absolutely. Um, so you're with Unison Records, and are there any other artists that we may have heard of that are with them?
Yeah, do you know the White Buffalo?
I've heard the name. I'm not familiar with the music.
Yeah, he is with them. So it's cool too because we've been seeing like his records are in Urban Outfitters and stuff, and other really cool places. So it's exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and introduce the first track off your EP. You want to
Okay.
introduce it for us?
The first track off Under Construction is a song called Unsaid. And I like that you picked up on the fact that there's a lot of different influences going on because that's something that I get a lot is people can't give me one word to explain what they think influences me or what describes my music, and I think it's just because I listen to everything, so I absorb everything, and it all comes out in different ways. So anyway,
It does come out. Well, real quick before we get into it, how would you describe your sound?
I'm actually like the worst person to ask, but in a really confusing answer is to just say that it sounds like me because it does. It's a representation of like who I am and who I am musically, and because I'm human, I'm layered and I have different parts of me, and so kind of every song almost represents a different part of me. And some of them you can kind of group together, but other ones completely take a different turn, and it doesn't sound like they're supposed to be there, but it's all supposed to be there.
Right.
So, yeah.
Cool. Well, why don't we take a listen to the first track?
Yes, this song is called Unsaid.
Are fuzzy in my eyes. I watch the passing city with a sigh. If it were raining, it'd look like a painting on this captivating Thursday night. I don't really know you, but just so you know I want to. I was sad to say goodbye on 125 Broadway Avenue. I wanna say a million things to make you fall in love with me. Was halfway there the very first time we met. But considering the fact I'm slightly underage and you're the kind of boy with a dangerous edge, the words I wanna say to you will go unsaid. My wild imagination opened up a door. I'm carbonated with the hope of something more. I know it's useless to picture me with you like this, but what can you blame me for? I wanna say a million things to make you fall in love with me. Was halfway there the very first time we met. But considering the fact I'm slightly underage and you're the kind of boy with a dangerous edge, the words I wanna say to you will go unsaid. Picture what I'd say if I thought we had a chance. This would go beyond that coffee house bench. So we'll live inside our separate worlds. But I can't stand the thought of not seeing your face. So I'll sit on that bench every possible Thursday, hiding away these secret words. There's a million things I wanna say, but there's no point to it anyway. I keep chasing possibilities that evaporate. So maybe one day you'll hear this song and know what I was feeling inside all along. The words I wanna say to you will go unsaid. The headlights are fuzzy in
first track off of Justine Dorsey's EP, Under Construction. Justine Dorsey joins me live from Skype from Los Angeles, California. Justine, thanks again for being on the program.
Of course.
And you mentioned that that was a tough track for you to write, that you had to really work hard to finish that song, that you kind of struggled with the chorus and figuring out where you wanted to go with that song. Tell me a little bit about your process when you're writing songs.
Well, that is just it's not always like that. That's what I think is funny about Unsaid, is because there are certain songs that are such an easy experience. Like there's a song at the end of the EP called What's It To Me, and that song, I'm not kidding, I don't remember writing it. Like I wrote it, I remember what it looks like the night that I wrote it, but I don't remember consciously being like, okay, this needs to happen here and stuff. But Unsaid was one that I definitely wrestled with. And I was telling you that I normally, when that happens, I just feel right and I move on. I don't waste my time on a song that I don't care about, but I actually cared about this one. And I just wanted to do the story justice and give it exactly what I felt it needed. And so I just worked and wrote it until I felt that it was right.
Yeah, I think it came out really sounding quite good. The production, I find, especially on that track, is really high quality, especially with just a lot of the backing instruments and sort of the comping sounds. Tell me about your producer.
My producer's Bruce Whitkin, and he has such, an ear for music, and he just totally gets my songs. And I loved what he did with Unsaid, because that was a song that is much slower, or was much slower when I would play it. And he, found a way to make it, for lack of a better word, like more dancey. And not that that's like what he goes for, but he just saw another side to the song or heard another side to the song, I should say, that I didn't hear when I was writing it. And I think it's better this way. I love it this way.
And he produced the whole EP, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I think he did a real good job on that.
Yeah.
Let's have a listen to track 2, which has a real sort of bluesy Americana, almost country influence that I really liked, and that's called Good Man.
Yes.
Well, I've been traveling through the South since my daddy kicked the bucket last fall. And they don't lock me up and said it was my fault. I don't remember what I did, but I remember where I've been. And God save the man who crossed my gun. I don't know if Jesus raised the dead. I don't know what's real or what's in my head. All I know is a good man is hard to find. You keep talking for your life, but you never even make a sound. And you keep talking even when they don't bury you in the ground. And you tell me that if I pray, my sin will be saved. But darling, your little white gloves ain't so pristine. I don't know if God will save my soul. I don't know if hell is down below. All I know is a good man is hard to find. Oh, he's hard to find. You think he's around the corner, then he vanishes from sight. And once I've paid the price, ain't no pleasure in life, but we gotta get by. I don't know if God will save my soul. the sky. She said, oh, you child of mine. Then I shot her in the heart 3 times.
So that was Good Man. That's track 2 off of the EP, Under Construction. And Justine, you mentioned to me that that's a track that you really love to play live.
Yeah, I do. It's just really, I like to watch people's reactions to it. And I don't know, I really like just blues music, and I like the strumming pattern on it. And, but yeah, I like the reaction that it gets because I'm literally singing from the point of view of a serial killer. So it's just fun.
Right, so that was called Good Man, and in parentheses, serial killer.
Yeah, and that is actually literally everyone that heard me play that song would call it the serial killer song. They never called it its actual name. So I was just like, fine, I'll put that in there.
Nice. All right, so let's have a listen to the title track of this EP, Under Construction. Why did you choose to name the EP after this particular song?
Because I felt that it was just the perfect representation of me right now at that time in my life, and right now in general, because I mean, I'm a teenager and I'm under construction in like every way. And I just thought that represented me well. So, and it was just written at a moment where I just totally felt like the essence of what being young is, kind of, which is just, you constantly want, I'm literally thinking of a Taylor Swift lyric right now, whatever, I'm going to commit to it. She says, like, when all you wanted was to be wanted in her song 15. So that's kind of like, I guess, the feeling behind this song. And yeah, this is Under Construction.
I've got a heart pumping blood through my veins, but there's a part not empty, simply waiting for a love to pack its bags and move on and make itself at home. This heart is big enough to house 1,000 people, but right now it's stuck in scaffolding. Under construction, not quite fit to be the house of a person who learned to love me. All these years I've never really minded that no one resided in my heart. But wait and see, once I'm construction free, the doors will burst open for a love inside of me. This heart is big enough to house 1,000 people, but right now it's stuck in scaffolding. Under construction, not quite fit to be the house of a person who learned to love. heart will be wide open. Under construction, not quite fit to be the house of a person who will learn to love me.
So that was Under Construction, and that's the third track off your EP. When did you release the EP, by the way?
In October.
In
On the
October 2013.
Yeah. No, 2015. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Okay.
Terrible thing, but yeah. But it feels really recent to me. I don't know why.
Sure. Well, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you been touring or playing at least in your local LA area to support the EP?
Yeah, I haven't been touring, but I've like gotten to play a couple of shows at the Hotel Cafe. Do you know that place?
I'm not very familiar with Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. Well, like everyone has played at Hotel Cafe, and so it's 21 and up actually, so I'm not even allowed to go to it, but I can like play shows there. But what's crazy is I did my first show there and it was really fun. And then the next week I had friends that are from out of town and they went to go see an artist that they love the following Tuesday. And after the artist that they saw, they were like waiting for them outside to meet them and stuff. And no one's waiting for this artist who's, I guess, pretty big. And they were so confused. Everyone had flooded up to the stage and they're just like, whatever, we don't care. And they went outside and they walk inside and Chris Martin from Coldplay is on this it's a tiny stage. It's a tiny venue. And he was on stage and playing like a secret show. So it's really cool just to know that artists like that are there.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So as far as artists that are out there now, who would you be most excited about opening for if you were playing live?
Opening for?
Sure.
Well, I mean, because you do have to kind of, fit the artist vibe that you open for. But just in terms of like who I would just like dream about. Oh no, I have a flood of artists came to my mind that I'm not sure, but I mean, I'm obsessed with Arctic Monkeys right now, so I kind of want to say them. But I love another band called The Vaccines who do an incredible live show. I'd like to open for them.
And what about people that you'd like to share the stage with?
My dream would be to do a duet with the lead singer of The Vaccines. His name's Justin Young. He's so good. And yeah, I would say Arcade Fire, but like that doesn't make sense. And also I just want to preserve them as like magical fairies. And I almost don't ever want to meet them because I just love them, like my weird image that I have
the
of them.
Fantasy is better than the reality.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm sure the reality is pretty great too, but you know.
Got it. So what do you think about your music as far as what's different about your music? And what does your music has that's different than other artists out there right now?
Well, I guess it's that thing that we were kind of talking about where I'm not trying to like box myself in. I don't feel the need to rewrite the same song over and over again, and they all sound pretty different. So I guess that is what I would say. But sometimes I can talk about like writing process, I can talk about inspiration, but I'm really not great at explaining what my music sounds like or like how it's different, because I almost feel like that's like, I don't know, that I'm too close to it to be able to really give a great answer on that, if that makes sense.
That's fine. I wanted to ask you, as a young artist who's emerging and coming from the digital age, you've grown up your whole life with technology and the internet being at the forefront of your life, and not just technology, but music. How has that shaped or influenced your music, if at all?
It really hasn't, because I don't have really, I mean, in terms of like using techie, like, I don't know, equipment or instruments or something.
Well, I mean, coming out of
Or
coming out of I guess what I mean to say is since you've come out of a culture of technology where technology is such a part of music, and not necessarily with the gear, but
like social media and stuff.
social media, and not just that, but downloading music. I mean,
Right.
when I was your age, we would download one song at a time, and it would take hours to download one song. Now you can download a whole album in 5 minutes or less.
Yeah. Well, I think that hmm, I think that there are those, pessimists out there that say that technology like ruined music and ruined the music industry, but I don't think that's true. I think that there are some not so great things, like illegal downloading is really easy to do, we all know. And but just the fact that like I wouldn't know about some of my favorite artists if it weren't for the internet, or certain people wouldn't have heard my music if it weren't for the internet. I mean, it's amazing the way that it's broken down a lot of barriers for people.
It absolutely has. I mean, look at Justin Bieber. He got his start on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it definitely has a lot of effects as far as opening up access for musicians. But
Mhm.
another effect is that it's sort of made artists have to tour instead of being able to rely on record sales. What do you think
Right.
about that?
Well, I really love performing. So it's not like if I was to be like, "Oh man, you're going to really have to do a lot of touring." I would be like, "Great. I can't wait to tour." I think it's really great and exciting and wonderful. But uh yeah, no, that it's an interesting shift to watch. I almost feel like how much is that really if is that really that different from how it used to be though, because so many artists got tied up into contracts where their labels essentially owned them, so they
Yeah,
had to do it too. It's like always been that way.
I kind of agree with you on that. Um, so why don't we have a listen to track 4 off the EP? This one's called Dark Side.
I've heard if you stand too close to the fire, you're bound to get burned. But just to be next to you, baby, I risk getting hurt. You're diving head first without thinking of the consequences. wanna have the moon of you night. I wanna dance in a graveyard with wilted flowers in my hair. You're dark as the depths of the ocean down below, a twisted mystery of a soul, but I kinda like it so. Welcome to the dark side. I said, welcome to the dark side. Welcome to the dark side of my.
Cool. So, what is it? Why did you name this track Dark Side?
Well, this is another one where the name went through kind of a shift because I had a really long, slightly dorky name, which was, well, it's not dorky because it's like a lyric in it, but I said welcome to the dark side. And but it ended up being Dark Side because once again, that's what everyone was calling it, was just like, oh, I like Dark Side. So, and it works. The other one was too long, I think.
So, do you have a process for naming your songs where you sort of just write the song and air it out a little bit and play it until a name comes to you? Or do you find a title with the lyrics, or how does that work for you?
I found that I'm actually better at writing my songs when I know what they're going to be called. I've heard of movies where they've actually literally just been a title, and then a studio has said, we really like this title, can you write a movie around it? And then people do that. It's like screenwriters then just write based off of a couple of words. And so that is one part of my like process that I've found out that I have a tendency to do. And I name them like after, or if it is after the fact, it's like what's it to me, that was kind of written. Oh no, I knew that was gonna, yeah, I knew what that one was gonna be called. You just can kind of like sense where you'll have your lyrics go when you know what the destination is.
And are you drawing influence on your lyrics from real life experience, or what is it exactly that's influencing that?
Well, like a good man is definitely not real life experience because I haven't murdered anybody. But like Unsaid is a true story. What's It to Me is based off of a real, it's like almost like a synthesis of real experiences that I've had. Dark Side is kind of, it's like base, it's not necessarily about a specific person. But it's based in like an emotion that's totally real in me. Under Construction is the same way. But even actually like with A Good Man, that one is one that, so yeah, I definitely haven't killed anybody, but there's a whole other aspect to specifically like the story that it's based on, because the killer in it, he kills this family, and the last person that he kills is the grandmother. And you know, we would normally say, well, obviously he's the worst person. But the more for whatever reason, he talks to her for a really long time before he kills her. And she's pleading for her life, and she's talking to him about God and religion and morality. And the more that they talk, the more that you realize that she's almost more immoral than he is. And so the whole thing is like questioning religion and morality and stuff. And that's something that I think everyone at least should go through, and a lot of people do go through. So even that is based on real emotion.
Now, is it What's It to You or What's It to Me?
That was actually like where I was kind of having a problem with a friend, and my mom said, she just was like talking to me, and she was like, what's it to you? She was kind of telling me to let go. And so I just turned that into what's it to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's also based on real life experiences.
Mm-hmm. It's about like when someone that you really love, whether it be like a friend or someone that you're in a relationship with, when you still love that person, but you can't, they frustrate you more than you enjoy being around them. And you're like, I can't do this. I'm not going to fight for this. I'm just going to walk away. And whatever happens, happens. So that's what this one's about.
So this next track is called What's It To Me. And this is track 5 on Under Construction, Justine Dorsey's EP. Let's have a listen.
Today I realize you rarely say anything positive. And how long has it been since you've smiled? I can't imagine. And when I say smiled, I mean smiled like you meant it, not just muscles going where they're told. So what's it to me? I'm finally moving on from the battlefield. Drop down my sword and shield, always defended and stitched up and mended. Now I need to walk away from you. So walk away is what I'll do. Oh. You might be someone that's fine, living off oxygen that barely reaches your lungs. But I'd rather let us die. Please don't drag it out, just end it fast. That's all I ask. I want you to say what you truly are thinking, not just what you think you're supposed to say. So what's it to me? I'm finally moving on from the battlefield. Drop down my sword and shield, always defended and stitched up and mended. Now I need to walk away from you. So walk away is what I oh. But all these years of silver linings and little stories and little secrets we shared, and in my eyes are tears. I don't know what to say, but I gotta walk away. Please tell me what to say before I walk away. Before I walk away. Oh, yeah. So what's it to me? I'm finally moving on from the battlefield. Drop down my sword and shield. I'm sick of pretending that this battle will be ending. Now I need to walk away from you. Oh, so thanks for the memories that truly have changed me. I'm never going to forget you. Walk away is what I'll do.
And that was What's It To Me, track 5, once again on Justine Dorsey's EP, Under Construction. Now, let me ask you a question. You'd mentioned to me earlier that you were involved in acting as a kid and that you did theater. Were you ever in a production of Bye Bye Birdie?
No, I was not. And
Because that last track, Put on a Happy Face, is from that show.
It is. And I didn't know where you were going with that. And it's like so obvious. Yes, that is from Bye Bye Birdie. And that happened because, so I just said to you, I met my label through a licensing company. And what had happened was the licensing company is called Laurel Cannon, and they got the rights to this songbook that includes, Put on a Happy Face. And they were like, "Oh, Justine, we think, we've been having people like produce old, cover old songs and stuff, and then we've been submitting it. So do you want to sing? And you pick any." So we picked "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning" and "Put on a Happy Face." Producer Bruce was the producer that they put me with. And so this was actually the first thing we ever recorded together.
Well, I think it sounds great. It's a really fresh take on a classic American tune that at this point has, I feel, entered into the canon of the sort of great American songbook, as they say. And I thought your interpretation of it was really, like I said, a fresh take. I mean, I haven't heard someone do the song in that sort of way. It's more of like you had mentioned earlier, that Unsaid was originally supposed to be sort of a mellow, slower song, and your producer decided to make it upbeat.
Yeah.
And you felt that really worked for that track. Well, Put on a Happy Face is by its nature more of an upbeat sort of driving tune, and you've sort of done the opposite there. You've slowed it down and
sounding,
made it kind of airy and spacey, and I like that a lot.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let's give that a listen. This is Put on a Happy Face from the musical Bye Bye Birdie, covered by Justine Dorsey on her recent EP Under Construction.
Gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face. Brush off the clouds and cheer up. Put on a happy face. Take off that gloomy mask of tragedy. It's not your style. You look so good
classic American tune that you've definitely done justice to and really played in an interesting new way. Big credit to you and your producer and everyone you work with for really giving that song a fresh take. Justine, I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening here on WQMC and being a guest on the program. It was a pleasure to speak with you, and I think your music is really interesting. I wish you nothing but luck and the best as far as the progression of your career and your songwriting. I think you've definitely made it a phenomenal start, and I look forward to hearing more from you, and I expect to hear more from you and big things from you down the line.
Yeah, we're starting. I'm calling my producer after this to talk about the album, so I'm excited.
Great. So full-length album, is that already in the works, or are you going to start recording that soon?
We're going to start recording that soon. Yeah.
And how many tracks do you have set for that album?
I have a couple songs that I've been thinking of, at least like 7 others that I've been thinking of. That's kind of what I'm going to be deciding today, is like what's going on there and stuff.
Are you going to keep or re-record anything from the EP?
I do want to keep a couple from the EP. I mean, artists do that. I don't think that'll be a problem.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think Dark Side and Unsaid, at least those 2 should be on the album.
I was thinking that too. Yeah. And maybe What's It To Me, I really like to have that on there, but we'll see. I'm glad because that's like what I'd written down to keep.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks again, and tell us a little bit about your guitars. What kind of guitars do you play?
Well, I just got an electric, but I normally at shows I play an acoustic. It's a Gibson Songwriter, and it's really lovely. And before that, I'd been playing a really cheap guitar that paled in comparison. And then the one that I have for electric is a vintage Harmony Bobcat, and it's very pretty. I like it.
And what are you plugged into right now? What kind of amp do you use?
Oh, right now I actually have like a really crappy amp, but I want to get like a Blues Junior tube amp, or at least like someone told me I should get that. But I need to go try some first.
All right, well, try it out. Fender Twin Reverb can never let you down with one of those.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Justine, thank you so much again for joining us. As always, tune in Tuesdays and Thursday nights from 8 to 10, where we bring local and now more than local artists to discuss their work and showcase their talent and their recordings. Justine, do you have any upcoming live dates that you want to tell our listeners about?
Oh, let me bring them up really quick. Actually, all my shows are on my website, which is JustineDorsey.com. And you just go up to the top and click shows, and then a list of everywhere that I'm playing for the next month comes up. On March 27th, I'm playing a place called Bordeners in Los Angeles. And then April 10th, I'm playing the Hotel Cafe again.
Great.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Justine Dorsey. Find her online at JustineDorsey.com. Check out her EP, Under Construction, which is available now on iTunes. And follow her on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
At Justine Dorsey.
At Justine Dorsey. Justine, thanks again. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. It's nice to talk to you too, Ben.